Assalamu alaikum. This is Kamal Masood once again with my dear friend, mentor, and one of the great personality, Shafaat Hashmi Saab. Assalamu alaikum.
He's one
This
of the
is
leading
Kamal Masood
entrepreneur
once again with
Pakistan and
my dear friend,
CEO
mentor,
of
brand.
Walaikum assalam. Kamal bhai, very good to see you. And thanks for the elaborate introduction once again.
Sir, thank you so
excited
much.
to have the second show.
Sir, thank you so much for being part of the show always. And you look always beautiful, mashallah.
Thank you, sir.
So today we have a topic of how to build high performance. Especially goes to everybody, I guess, and this goes for the teams and the startups and the entrepreneurs as well. So we are all excited to hear about this amazing topic. So over to you, sir.
Well, I think it's a great topic. Everybody's been trying to, all the science, everything, the management sciences, every other sciences is basically focused on efficiency. So less input, greater output. But then you have a lot of inertia to achieve that. And I think that essentially defines performance. When we talk of business, I think following are some of the points which I would say are the key factors affecting performance. Number one is health. So physical health and mental health. For example, if you're not getting your proper sleep, if you're not in good shape, you shouldn't really be expecting anything out from your team. If your team is lethargic, laid back, lazy, haven't slept well, they have some kind of, mental disorders or some kind of psychological health issues. So health, I believe, is number one. Number two is discipline. And disciplines make, organization, companies perform better. So if we look at some of the armed forces around the world, essentially, they really move on discipline. And discipline is essentially time management, having clear objectives, clear goals, and so on and so forth. The third thing I believe is clarity. So if your employees do not have clarity, be it job description, their job roles, what is expected out of them, at what time, so we talk about SMART goals, et cetera, I think clarity is extremely important. And the fourth thing is putting the wrong person on the wrong job. You will never get performance. So I think the fit between job and skill and the personality, the aptitude, the attitude, the skill, all of that to be fit with the job role. I think that is one of the key factors with a lot of HR, gurus are trying to resolve around the world. And the last thing I would say, which really affects performance, is leadership. So for people to perform great, leadership play a very important role. So leaders have to be inspiring. They need to be performing at their peak as well. And they need to take smart decision making. So be it grapevine or cultural issues or politics in the office or systems or resources that are required. All those things are essentially leadership decisions. And they need to make sure that their employees are properly equipped. And I think if you got these 5 basics right, then comes training, et cetera. But prior to getting these 5 basics right, there is no point training your sales force or going for an OD or restructuring and all the rest of it because the basics are not right. The last thing I want to say is that, yes, you might need a coach to set these 5 principles in place. So as you know, coaching is very different from training. So yes, some coaches, some consultants may play a role in putting these 5 things in place and making sure that performance is great.
Excellent. So you have pointed out some very important points. I think I'll start from the leadership point. मुझे personally ये लगता है कि leadership individual capacity में भी बहुत काम आती है, not only for the organizations and the organization capacity for the team building, all these things. How do you measure leadership and how do you foresee this leadership thing within the Pakistan ecosystem? For me, my opinion is I hardly see leadership-based decisions even in the corporate sector.
I think I've been never sort of a person who would paint everybody with the same brush.
Okay.
So you have people out there who have made wrong decisions and maybe they're not great at it. But I think learning is very important. Learning comes through the art of listening. and then the art of comprehension. And these are great learners. So leaders, first of all, have to be great learners. So if you have an orthodox mindset in many family businesses that we see in Pakistan, those leaders are not ready to learn. They're not flexible enough. They're not ready to pivot, and they're not open to new ideas and innovation because they think, well, we've done it right this way, and for the next 50 years, we'll still do it the same way. So that's one thing. The second thing is I've also seen that a lot of leaders are generally very self-centric. So you need to be selfless, and you need to be a giver. You need to be, someone with a giving attitude, somebody with an open heart and an open arms policy, which is very important. You have to be nurturing as a leader. And the most important thing is, it is not supposed to be having one. That is for sure. But people do find mentors.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. And what a great answer. So, आपने health के लिए बात की थी, and I think मेरे जैसे लोग जो हैं वो बहुत end में जाके health पे emphasize करते हैं. इसलिए they spend their entire life, working hard, struggling, spending nights and days. तो उसको थोड़ा सा आप explain करें कि early stage पे how do we take care about it, because उस time पे तो हमें बिल्कुल कुछ भी अंदाजा नहीं हो रहा होता कि हमारी health पे क्या impact आने वाला है, और कितना हमने physical अपने आप पर mentally अपने आप को set रखना है.
Sir,
सबसे last में रखते हैं.
First of all, it is okay, and I'll speak from the Pakistani culture. Well, let's say in Dubai, when I moved to Dubai in the late 90s, and mid 90s was the first time, and 2000s back and forth, we were doing business in the country. I remember every Arab used to smoke Marlboro Lights, right? So it was Marlboro Lights all over the Arab, and Camel, and few other brands. Ultimately, those people couldn't perform. So 10 years, 15 years later, they're burned out. In Pakistan, recently that I visited, in the last couple of years that I've started visiting more in Pakistan, started spending more time in Pakistan, I see every other guy on vape. So you pull that machine out, whatever, it's vape, okay. And then the worst part is people have sick sleeping routines. I mean, tell me a developed country where children below the age of 16 or 18 are sleeping like after midnight on a working day. This is the average household drama. And then once the children wake up, they don't take breakfast, they have shitty lunch boxes, or they eat something out of the canteen, which is again unhygienic. And then you say, oh, we're building a nation which is going to be, a winner. No, it doesn't work. So you're not sleeping well. You have bad habits. You're consuming bad media. Majority of the Pakistanis are listening to these, crap news channels who are getting their viewership on absolutely lame, and there's no point of all the debates that you watch on news channels in Pakistan. How many of the people that you meet or in your company, and you go tomorrow and Kamal bhai, ask your employees, how many of you watch Bloomberg on a daily basis? Right? So you ask them, really go and sit for the headlines for BBC for a while and just figure out what's happening in the world, or CNBC. Hardly any people. And then you're on the stuff, and you're watching TikTok, and every man and woman is dancing from the camera, and all that. You're wasting time, and you're not sleeping. So you have got bad relationships, bad family, all of that affects your mental health, leading to bad physical health. So it's very rare that people have bad physical health and then bad mental health. Majority of the times you have bad mental health leading to bad physical health. It starts from there. So if your mind is switched on, you would automatically understand self-love and self-care.
Excellent. बिल्कुल ठीक बात की आपने. Apart from that, हमारी I think जो intake का जो food का है हमारा, उसमें भी हम काफी ज़्यादा unhygienic, and जो देसी culture है हमारा पाकिस्तान में, उसको भी हम बहुत ज़्यादा adopt हमने किया होता है. So that's also goes to the health side as well. So let's come to the discipline. तो ये भी I think आप थोड़ा सा जो religious point बोलते हैं, 5 times a day, और उसके अलावा हम अपने आप को बिल्कुल भी जो ना least हम इस पे लाते हैं कि हम अपने आप को discipline करें. तो इसमें भी थोड़ा सा मैं चाहूँगा थोड़ा सा describe कर दें आप. I'm sorry.
Essentially, again, I think if you YouTube, you'll find a lot of videos on time management, on priorities, A, B, C, what is the most important, what was urgent attention, what you should achieve today, what you should try to achieve, and what is not important, what is not time bound. You don't have clarity on goals. So majority of the times, I think it's more about time management. It's more about your sleeping patterns, more about being an early riser or a late riser. It doesn't really matter, but as far as whatever clock you're working on globally. But discipline is the key. And discipline is not only, waking up and all the rest of it. Discipline is that if you're sending out an email, it takes less than a second to just write, "Dear Kamal" or "Hi Kamal," and "Regards," or "Thank you," or "Have a nice day." It's just less than 1 second. And there's a way to write an email. There's a way to send a message. There's a way to greet someone, and all of that is part of discipline. And most importantly, discipline is not only quantitative time management. Discipline is what quality are you producing in that limited time, and how focused you are. Focus or laser focus is part of discipline. You might be sitting from 9 to 5 and say, "I'm very disciplined. I show up 9 in the morning, go 5 in the morning. I have a very disciplined routine," but you aren't really producing anything. You're not disciplined. You're ill-disciplined. So quality consciousness, putting your heart into everything that you do, putting the best of your abilities, and being at that high energy level throughout the day or the evening, and really pushing the needle forward. I think all of that is discipline.
Excellent. So previously मैंने एक रिसर्च पढ़ी थी जिसमें कि दुनिया के जो मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल लोग हैं उनकी क्वालिटीज को उन्होंने डिस्क्राइब किया था, तो उसमें बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जो आपने ऑलरेडी मेंशन की हुई हैं. सो ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट एक चीज थी जिसको उन्होंने मेंशन किया था, दैट वाज ऑनेस्टी. और मैं इसको चाहूंगा कि थोड़ा सा आप भी इसको ब्रीफ करें कि हमारे यहाँ इज इट समथिंग व्हिच इज लैकिंग, और हम इसको किस तरह इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं. अगेन एक बहुत बड़ा एरिया जिसको हम देख सकते हैं. आई थिंक वो हमें परफॉर्मेंस साइड पे भी हमें बहुत ज्यादा हेल्प कर सकता है.
एक सर देखिए, one thing is honesty management, and one thing is being honest. So honesty management can essentially be achieved through legal framework, jurisdictions, and contracts, right? With a punishment reward setup, very typical. But being honest is something nobody can teach no one.
Yeah.
So I think this is where the real answer
Characteristics.
And integrity or being truthful and all the rest of it. I think it's very individualistic characters. It really depends on how you've been trained. A lot of people I've heard a very common example in Pakistan that वो अब्बू का फोन पे है, वो बेटे को बोला बाल रिंग, उसको बोला मैं घर पे नहीं हूँ. It's a very common example. But let me put it like this. I have seen some very honest boys and girls nurturing from the same culture where the mother or the father is the crook.
Oh.
Total crook.
Okay.
But the children are honest.
Okay.
So it really depends on
we are talking about.
As to what you want to become, because it's no rocket science for a 10 years old to understand or 6 years old to understand that this is a lie and this is truth, right? People know. So it's really your choice how you want to be and what you want to become, right? So I think, yes, we do say that environment, childhood, all the rest of it matters, but I think it really ends up being your own individualistic choice, particularly after you're post 18 or post 21.
Agree. So थोड़ा सा हम क्लैरिटी को बात कर लें, because this is something very important. हम लोग के पास बिजनेस क्लैरिटी नहीं होती, हमारे पास कमर्शलाइजेशन की क्लैरिटी नहीं होती in early stages. I'm saying जो मिड ईयर है, इसको थोड़ा सा हम डिस्कस कर लें.
Sorry, I missed one point. Early stages.
So you mentioned about clarity. So clarity हमारी काफी, मैं अपनी भी बात करूँगा. अर्ली स्टेज में जब मैंने अपनी IT कंपनी स्टार्ट की थी, so I had that issue कि जी मेरे पास भी वो क्लैरिटी नहीं थी कि where I'm heading to, मुझे क्या चाहिए, मुझे कितनी human resource required है, मेरे targets क्या होंगे, how do I scale. ये चीजें भी जरा थोड़ा सा I would love to क्या आप इस पे बात करें.
So I think clarity, what I mentioned essentially, I think clarity is being clear about, I mean, let me give you my own personal example. When somebody, majority of the time when somebody speaks to me and talks to me, and majority, salespeople. So you have a lot of these real estate sales agents coming to us. Oh, because we're an investment firm and I'm an angel investor. So people come, startups come, entrepreneurs come, talk. And I put this, a filter, which filters 90% as BS, right? And 10% is what I pick up. So once you're clear, it comes through understanding that you need to be clear. You're sitting at point A, you need to go on point B, and you need to be clear about point A and point B. The problem is we lie to ourselves.
I agree.
Right? I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses. I mean, one of my weaknesses that I do suffer from bad health, right? Because I've been a chain smoker all my life. Till date, I suffer from vertigo, restricts my travel. So I understand that how important that is. And so I need to be clear that this is my weakness, these are my strengths, this is how I need to operate, this is where I need to go. And goals and objectives are not always money oriented. It's not always that, okay, I want to have, $1 billion in my account by the end of 2 years. It's not about it. I think the goals and objectives and all these things are also about the quality, the impact that you create, the community that you create, the respect that you earn in your sector, the achievement that the opportunities that you have seized. So all of these things, you need to be very clear what you're made of, what you should do, what is your natural you, and how do you align it with your professional skill set, and then achieve something that you enjoy. So I think life is very to enjoy. I have seen some people are very clear in their life. So they think that, in most of the couples, one of the other spouse is usually sitting, chilling. The only job they have is, when are you taking me out for shopping? When are you taking me out for vacations? So I know fathers who are sitting home and women are working, and I know men who are working and, wives who are sitting home, and you come and they say they only demand. So they're clear that my job is to demand, and his job is to, or her job is to make sure that, do it. If you don't do it, it's a mess up. So again, the couple or the team or the family has zero clarity that you got children, you got to pay for the college fee, university fee, you have things coming up, you need to have saving, you need to own your own home, you need to build your assets, you need to build your passive income. But people don't have clarity, and clarity is the key for you to perform, because let me tell you, Kolbe, one last thing, and then, we'll take up the next thing. It is always the small little things that come together to make a big thing. So if you're not clear about the bigger picture, you will actually gather all the kachra little things together. But a person who's clear that I want to have a pearl necklace, he will gather all the little pearls to create a pearl's necklace. Otherwise, he'll gather random stones and he'll be nowhere.
Completely agree. So एक और चीज भी होती है कि हम लोग अपने पोटेंशियल को हम लोगों ने अनलीश नहीं किया होता, हमें ये पता ही नहीं होता कि हमारी सीलिंग क्या है, हमने कभी अपने पोटेंशियल को एक्सप्लोर नहीं किया होता. सो दैट्स वेयर इट कम्स के फिर हमें पता चलता है कि हमारी परफॉर्मेंस क्या हो सकती है. एंड देन फिर आगे मैं आपसे ये भी बात करूंगा कि परफॉर्मेंस का एक्चुअली इम्पैक्ट क्या है, उससे हमें क्या रिजल्ट्स क्या मिलते हैं.
Sir, potential, I think, wonderful question. First of all, let's again clarify one aspect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, everyone is ashraful makhluqat, all humans. Which means everyone has equal potential.
Completely agree.
So let's understand this. And I'll add if people, if they have an Urdu audience, and I'll say I don't like poetry as such, and I don't do poetry, but this one is from my great grandfather, and my great grandfather wrote, "Aati hai mujhe ghaib se आवाज मुसलसल." So आती है मुझे गैब से आवाज मुसलसल, है अर्श भी नीचा जो हो परवाज मुसलसल.
क्या बात. क्या बात.
right? So that is the potential of moment. That's the potential of any human being. So it's about the parwas, it's about musalsal, which is resilience, consistency, focus. So the word musalsal is essentially adds to all these things. So it's really about persistence, you know, and you could achieve your potential. It's not about that we don't know our potential. You would only know your potential until unless you don't dive, you won't understand the depth of the waters.
So हम लोग तो डर रहे होते हैं ना जंप करने से या स्विम करने से, हमें पता ही नहीं होता कि ये पोटेंशियल भी हमारा है. You know, we are afraid of so many things.
The funny part is our fear factors are very strange, you know. We are afraid what people would say.
I agree.
We are usually not afraid. We are afraid that, oh, what if I fail? But we are never afraid that what if I take 100 people's rights towards my journey to success? You're not afraid of that, but you're afraid of your own failure. But you're not afraid of crushing someone's right, someone's, you know, integrity or someone's self-respect. So our fear factors are totally opposite. I know a lot of business community over here who owe people a lot of money. They haven't paid people for 3 months, and then they said, okay, get out. They haven't paid the suppliers. It's regular stuff. There is no, you know, legal system here. जमीन पे कब्जा कर लिया, फैक्ट्री बना ली, 20 साल उससे खाया, उसके बाद का लिटिगेशन में डाल के स्टे डाल दिया, 40 साल स्टे के ऊपर, फिर फैक्ट्री चलाई, तीसरी जनरेशन आई, वो बाहर चलेगी, उन्हें कहा लानत भेजो फैक्ट्री के ऊपर, हम लोग बाहर सेटल हो गए. You know, so our fear factors are very different, and I think those fear factors needs to be understood. Fear आपको होता है when you love someone so profoundly that you have the fear of losing it. So when you say कि खुदा से खौफ करें, this essentially means कि यार जिसको अल्लाह से मोहब्बत होगी उसी को अल्लाह से खौफ होगा, जिसको अपनी माँ बाप से मोहब्बत होगी उसको माँ बाप का खौफ होगा, right? जिसको अपने बच्चों से मोहब्बत होगी उसी को बच्चों का खौफ होगा कि इनको कुछ होना चाहिए, वांट टू डू समथिंग वेल. सिमिलरली जिसको अपनी ड्रीम से, अपने गोल, अपने मिशन से मोहब्बत होगी उसी को अपने मिशन का खौफ होगा कि उसके ऊपर कोई ब्लैक स्पॉट ना आए.
बिल्कुल ठीक. क्रेडिबिलिटी लूज ना करे. बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. तो हम लोग अपनी परफॉर्मेंस को कहीं मेजर कर सकते हैं या हम किसी तरह अपने इसको इम्पैक्ट को हम आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं? यू नो हमने अब अपनी परफॉर्मेंस को वहां तक ले आए हैं, उसको हमने इतना बिल्ड कर लिया है. इज देयर एनी वे?
I think, as you know, there are a lot of metrics by a lot of great companies out there. We talk about KPIs, right? So in Pakistan, I believe there is Abacus Consulting, there are mentor institutes, there are people who put all these KPI systems over there. There's one very good company that we're also engaged with, and they have a lot of stuff in there, So they have all these psychometrics, all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. And then you have all these KPIs in there. And then it's your line manager creating a KPI, the top CFO doing one, CMO, and it all trickles down, all the way to your personal objectives. I think what's really important is the alignment of your personal vision with the company's vision. Your personal mission, personal objectives, the company's objectives. So they need to be aligned. I think alignment is important. But, and I'm going to throw a gem here for you guys. I have always believed that performance measurement is always present tense. It's not past tense.
Or the future tense.
Or it's always the present tense. So if I have to measure the performance of what I've done, I might die. And 30 years later, you would say, oh my God, this guy really performed well because he made Coca-Cola. Right? So if I have to measure the performance of the founder of Rolex and how he created a trust out of it, and it's still a trust, Rolex as a trust, it runs, sells the best of the watches. The performance of Rolex is essentially, if I have to measure his performance, 60 years, 100 years later, you can still measure the performance. So it's always at the present when you measure the performance.
Thank you. Sir, thank you so much for your time. It's always been a pleasure to, have a discussion with you, and always a great learning. Thank you so much for your time. I'll engage you for the next discussion as well, and always a great honor to talk to you always. And inshallah, we'll be continue with the sessions. Most of the time, whenever you are available. And would love to thank you once again. Would love to close the session. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
So great questions, Kamal Bhai. Always
Sir,
a big supporter of CxO Global. So a great shout out to gentlemen like yourself and what your organization is doing to impact Pakistan, to foster entrepreneurship, to bring a lot of business leaders and professionals together. And God bless you in your efforts, in your journey, and in your mission. And yes, I think you are someone who is a leader who has created a shared vision that at least I share, and there are a lot of like-minded people who also share. You've been successful in creating a beautiful community. So God bless you in your journey, and we're always available to help you, support you in any way we can, and share our stories and disseminate and share whatever we can out of our experiences. So one disclaimer I always say, please do not listen to me, listen to your own heart, and do not even pick up the things that I've said. If you like them, adopt them. If you don't like them, it's okay, because I'm no guru, and my generalized ideas do not apply on anyone or everyone. But try it out; it might work. So with that,
it works, sir. I always take points, and I'll always take things very seriously from. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, sir.